The Biden administration's goals for infrastructure. Are they halfway complete? Today, a Jacksonville native weighs in.
Look, it's bipartisan, so it received bipartisan support. It really will address a lot of the critical needs of our country.
Congresswoman Val Demings shares her journey from Mandarin to Central Florida to Capitol Hill. We're also getting ready for a special legislative session in Florida called by Governor Ron DeSantis. The issues and goals concerning the national policy on vaccine mandates and how that plays out in the Sunshine State on This Week in Jacksonville. And thank you for joining us today. Rick Mullaney is with us, political analyst for News4Jax.com and News4Jax On Air. Also the director of Jacksonville University Public Policy Institute. Rick, so much going on here at the national level, clearly, that we can see affecting us locally. I thought it was a really great opportunity this week to hear from a national lawmaker with a local tie.
Kent, it really was. I got the chance this past week to sit down with Congresswoman Val Demings here at Channel 4. We discussed many of those important national issues, including supply chain issues, inflation, and much more. We started by discussing her connection to Jacksonville.
Well, I was born and raised in Mandarin, the youngest of 7 children. My father was a janitor, my mother a maid. I remember my dad used to go to work 7 days a week to make ends meet for our family. He would pick oranges, he'd mow lawns. I went to Pine Forest Elementary and then went to Loretta Elementary School, and then from there to DuPont. Then it was junior high, and then graduated from Wolfson High School.
Lots of connections here to Jacksonville.
Lots of connections here. I also still have 2 sisters and a brother who still live here in Jacksonville. So when I am here, although I've lived in Orlando for over 3 decades now, when I'm here, I'm home.
So I understand Orlando stole you away for a career in law enforcement. How about describing that for us?
Yeah, I was actually working for the Department of Health and Rehabilitative Services as a social worker here in Jacksonville. And I was working with abused, neglected, and abandoned children and families that needed emergency services. And I was at my desk one day, and there was an advertisement that came over my transistor radio, because in '83, that's all we had. There were no computers. And it said that the Orlando Police Department was in town recruiting. They were at Edward Waters College. And I had attended Florida State University, got my degree in criminology. And I went over to the university to see what they had to say, and ultimately applied and was hired. And have just had, I had a 27-year career with OPD, had the honor of working my way up through the ranks to become Orlando's first woman chief of police.
Well, I understand you're now in your 3rd term as a Congresswoman, but I do want to talk to you a bit about something in your visit to Jacksonville, the ports. I understand that earlier you visited at Jacksport here in Jacksonville, and I have a question for you. In Jacksonville's ports, as well as the ports in Florida, not only from an economic engine standpoint for the state of Florida, on the supply chain issue, what about Jacksport and the Florida ports as it relates to the supply chain challenge that we're facing?
Well, you know, first of all, let me say I am so grateful that we passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill last week, because we understand the importance of that bill and the billions of dollars that it will bring to Florida, that it will bring to Duval County, that it will bring to our ports. The president recently announced an initiative where he's going to focus on strengthening ports to help with strengthening our supply chains. My visit to the port on Wednesday was absolutely fascinating. There are so many things that we take for granted. You know, we go to the grocery stores, we go to the stores, and all we seem to care about is my item going to be on the shelf? But it is a lot of work that goes into making sure that those supplies, those goods and services are there. And spending time with the men and women at Jacksport today was just absolutely wonderful. It was all about how do we strengthen the supply chains, and they play a major part of that. And the funding that we will receive through the infrastructure bill will be critical to that effort.
Well, you know, Congresswoman, some people believe that the supply chain challenge and labor challenges and others are contributing to the concerns over inflation. And this past week, we saw a report that said that this is the highest in a few decades, which is causing concern. So my question for you is, as you look a year from now to the 2022 midterms, how critically important do you think inflation is, particularly for incumbents? And what are your thoughts, what is your recommendation on how to deal with this problem?
Well, you know, let me just say this. I've dedicated my life to public service. social worker, career law enforcement officer, a member of the House of Representatives, and now running for the U.S. Senate. As a person chosen by the people, my primary concern cannot be the next election. My primary concern has to be, what are the needs of the people? What's keeping them up at night? We've gone through a very tough 20 months due to COVID-19. And there were some vulnerabilities, some families that were struggling, some families that were suffering before COVID. We know that COVID just exacerbated those issues. We have a right, they have a right, those Florida families have a right to be concerned about the price of gas, concerned about the price of a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread. They're concerned about their rent or mortgage. When people are paying 51% of their income for rent, that's unacceptable. So they have to be concerned about inflation. That's why I really am so excited about the bipartisan infrastructure bill, because it will not only bring billions of dollars to Florida, but it will bring tens of thousands of much needed jobs. Once we help to increase the capacity of our ports, then the cost of those goods and services will be positively impacted by doing that. And so we have a lot of work to do, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to really help to take care of some of the issues that people are very, very concerned about.
And certainly that inflation one is this sort of a growing concern. And is it your view that the infrastructure plan that you, as you mentioned, just passed, bipartisan, that is actually going to, in the long run, help when it comes to inflation and prices for average Americans?
I really do believe so, because number one, the infrastructure bill, look, let's repair our roadways. We have about 3,500 miles of roadway, highways in Florida that are in poor condition. We have over 400 bridges that are in poor condition. We need to, you might think that every family living in Florida has access to clean drinking water. They do not, or access to broadband. Children, when we went to distance learning last year because of the public health pandemic, it was easy to assume that every house had access to broadband. We found out that every house does not. And so, and think about our small businesses. Small businesses, I can't think of any small business that can operate today without broadband or access to high-speed internet. And so the good thing about the bipartisan infrastructure bill, it will be fully paid for by corporations and those who, the richest of people in our country, paying their fair share. That's what it will about. That's what it's about. So when we balance those needs, I really do believe that it will drive the cost down. Our economy is doing pretty well, but there are some concerns, and I believe over the next year it will get better.
Rep. Val Demings, a Democrat, and supports the president's agenda. We're going to ask her about the impact of passing the first infrastructure bill. That's next on This Week in Jacksonville.
After practicing for 30 years in this community, we have grown, but we have not outgrown the size of our heart and our family. It's surely true that, a law firm can be too big. It can be too big to feel personal. And we always want our clients to feel that they're at home, that they're being treated like family. And that's going to be more than one lawyer. That's going to be an entire team. That's how we get our best results.
Think premium can't be capable? Think again. Introducing the first ever AT4 lineup. Premium and capable. That's professional grade from GMC.
Get $2,300 purchase allowance on 2021 Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab models when you finance through GM Financial. Plus, current eligible GMC owners get an additional $250 purchase allowance.
Over the years, people have asked me, how did your firm get so big? The answer is simple. We won a lot. In this business, you grow by winning. As America's largest injury law firm, we have more lawyers than any other injury firm. Morgan & Morgan.
News 4 Jax Insider. Sign up and sign in today.
Did you know that you don't have to be 65 years old to qualify for Medicare? That's right. In fact, many people who are already on Medicaid also qualify for a Medicare Advantage plan. So if that applies to you, that means you don't have to wait to get access to WellCare's simplified plans, streamlined benefits, and savings. You can start taking advantage of it all right now. Better yet, you can do it for as low as $0. Because at WellCare, we offer our members $0 or low monthly premium plans, $0 copays for primary care visits and prescription drugs, dental, vision, and hearing coverage, free grocery and prescription delivery, and access to in-home visits and 24/7 virtual visits. So whether you know you're eligible or suspect you might be, call the number on your screen to request our free all-in-one guide to Medicare, or visit us online at enrollwellcare.com. WellCare, it's Medicare done well.
At Farah and Farah, when you fall down, we stand up. Don't let the insurance company play around with your future. Call us.
Do you know where we are? Some people say they would never live here, let alone visit.
Too busy.
It's crazy out there.
All I'm thinking is going to the airport.
Would we dare move back on the north side?
Putting the Jacksonville map under the microscope. Where crimes sometimes happen, the people mistakenly pin on the north side. Plus, riding along with north side neighbors, revealing their favorite hideaways for the whole family.
The perceptions on the north side are not always accurate.
You think you know the north side. Monday starting at 5 p.m. on News 4 Jax. You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
And thanks for staying with us today. We're joined by Rick Mullaney, and we're hearing from Congresswoman Val Demings today. She's a Democrat running for U.S. Senate in next year's election, and she is a key supporter of President Biden's agenda.
You know, Kent, when I interviewed her this week, I brought up the recent elections in Virginia, New Jersey, and Minnesota that seemed to push back on the president's party, and particularly the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. We also talked about the timing of the House passing President Biden's infrastructure bill.
Well, let me say this. I really do wish that we would have passed the bipartisan infrastructure package earlier. You know, our Democratic caucus is a very diverse caucus. It actually looks like America, which is a good thing. But with the diversity of people comes a diversity of ideas and perspectives. And I think this was the largest infrastructure package that we've seen in the history of this country. It was important to get it right. Could it have made a difference in the Virginia election? Perhaps it could have. But we have to move on, right? Because it's still about serving the American people and meeting the needs of the American people. Virginia has spoken, but also so has New Jersey. And so we have to continue to work on behalf of the people. As I said earlier, yes, I'm in elected office and I'm running for office. But our first priority has to be meeting the needs of the people that we represent, and we're committed to doing that.
Congressman, do you think those election results may have aided in maybe expediting the passage of the infrastructure bill, helped it along, and on the other hand, may cause a little bit more debate for the second piece of legislation, which is still about $1.75 or $1.85 trillion?
You know, when we were debating the bipartisan infrastructure bill, there just happened to have been an election going on in Virginia. We had to take the time to get it right. And I really do, when you look what is in that legislation, look, it's bipartisan, so it received bipartisan support. It really will address a lot of the critical needs of our country. That's important stuff. With the Build Back Better, we're also excited about that. We can't stop here. We've got to go back and pick up what I call those wraparound services in the Build Back Better piece of legislation. There are about 2 million women in our country who have not been able to return to the workforce because of the cost of child care. We talked earlier about the cost. Some people are paying as much as 51% of their income in rent. The cost of prescription drugs, I hear about it frequently, weekly, if not daily, in my office about seniors who cannot afford, and others. I had a health roundtable a while ago, and there were children who have juvenile diabetes who, one of the mothers shared that she has to travel to Canada. And she and her family traveled to Canada first class, and it was cheaper to do that, to get her daughter's medication, than it is to pay for it here in this country. That is totally unacceptable. And so those wraparound services, elder care, I think about my parents, and my second year as the police chief, both of my parents were ill, and the cost of elder care. These are wraparound services. If we're going to get people back to work and make sure that they have the support that they need, these services are important. And I do believe when we're back in D.C. In the coming weeks, that we will be able to get that legislation done.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about your experience as police chief, but in particular in light of election results too. On that election night, we saw in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, where the people there voted down a referendum that would have abolished the police department and replaced it with the Department of Public Safety. And in New York, you saw Eric Adams, a former police officer, running on a public safety platform. Given your 27 years of experience as a police officer and service and serving as police chief, what is your view on those election results? And do you think it's possible to get bipartisan support for a police reform legislation?
I really do think it's possible, and I think that's one of those issues too that we just need to stay at the table and continue to work on, and we have to get it right. But having served 27 years, having served as the chief of police, yes, we need to hire the brightest and the best to do the job. Yes, we need to make sure that they have the best training. And yes, we need to make sure that they have the best equipment and are properly trained to utilize that equipment. We need to make sure that we review policies on a regular basis. Policies like neck restraints above the shoulders, unless you're in a deadly force situation, it should be unacceptable. Having a national database so a police officer who is in trouble at one agency cannot simply leave, go across the street, or just go to another town and be hired by another agency. But if we are going to get it right, we've got to deal with some of the quality of life issues that affect communities in the first place. We got to deal with poverty. We got to deal with high unemployment. We've got to deal with low wages. We've got to deal with substandard education and housing. By bringing the two together, I really do believe that we can get criminal justice reform where it needs to be. But as I walk and talk with people in the community and all over the state now, what they will tell you, even some of the most vulnerable communities will say, we don't want to see less police. We don't want to defund the police. We want to see more police. Because if you defund the police, we feel like that less police in our communities means higher crime rates. All they are asking for is that they are treated with dignity and respect, and they deserve that. And I think the election in New York, which you mentioned, Eric Adams, sent a strong message. We had a lot of good candidates in that race, but at the end of the day, they chose to represent them as mayor and basically run the police department is the former police captain. Public safety matters, and I believe it is the tie that binds Republicans, Democrats, and independents, not just here in Florida, but throughout our nation.
And Senator Marco Rubio's campaign sent us a statement this week. It says, as Val Demings campaigns with small business today, remember that Senator Rubio created the Paycheck Protection Program that saved many Jacksonville small businesses and jobs. More than 36,000 PPP loans for over $2.1 billion supported 250,000 jobs in Duval County, thanks to Senator Rubio's relentless dedication to getting the job done. Meanwhile, Demings has not spearheaded a single significant effort benefiting Floridians during her time in Congress. And since we had Rep. Demings on, I also asked Senator Rubio to appear. That's something that his office says he'll consider in the future. All right, well, stay with us as we focus on lawmakers heading for Tallahassee today. The goals and implications of the special legislative session next on This Week in Jacksonville.
If you've been injured by medical malpractice, call Farah & Farah for a free review of your case, even if another firm has turned your case down. Farah & Farah.
Well, hello, Winn-Dixie. And hello to a thanks-worthy feast, free with all our delicious rewards points.
Your refined palate misses nothing, my twin.
So many sweet points baked into every bite.
The freshest veggies, the tender turkey, the points. Agreed. Here's to earning free groceries.
And to Winn-Dixie, the most rewarding place to shop.
Win-win twins for the win. Winn-Dixie.
It's a win-win.
When cleaning your air ducts, it's important to clean the entire system. An air duct cleaning from Stanley Steamer removes pounds of trapped dirt, dust, and allergens from your home completely. The cleaning improves your home's indoor air quality, keeps your home cleaner longer, and can even improve the efficiency of your HVAC system. We want you to have the cleanest and healthiest indoor air possible. So call for a free inspection today.
Stanley Steamer gets your home home cleaner. Beat the stress with the Planet Fitness Black Card and get all the perks for zero enrollment, $22.99 a month, now through November 16th, like access to over 2,000 locations. Bring a guest anytime. Relax with massage chairs and more. Plus, get tons of variety and space in our super clean clubs. Your fitness is essential. Get all the perks with the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. Hurry, deal ends November 16th.
Join Planet Fitness today for no enrollment. Hurry offer ends Tuesday, November 16th.
Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
Did I do that? Every time. Shh. You think she's still awake?
Don't worry.
Stealth mode?
Yeah.
Shh.
Don't PTA meetings end at 9?
Oh, got lost.
Wait, what'd you guys talk about?
The
math.
libraries.
Fine. You can drive to practice this weekend.
Well, it's easy.
What?
I mean, I love you guys.
The Lexus RX, built for modern families.
Hi, honey.
Oh, I missed you.
You just want to video call the kids.
Okay. Hush, little baby.
Don't say a word.
But if slow upload speeds turn your good night call into an accidental horror movie,
Can you hear me?
Shut it down.
just remember, you're not a bad mom. You just need better internet.
AT&T Fiber delivers faster upload speeds for more reliable video calls. Get AT&T Fiber, plan starting at $35 a month for a year. Limited availability in select areas. Call 1-877 only ATT.
Business owners have a duty to keep their floors in a safe condition.
We have lawyers who specialize in slip and fall cases, and we'd be honored to handle your claim.
Protecting you and your family is what we say, because it's what we do.
Call Farah and Farah.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
And Rick Mullaney with us. As we kind of transition topics here, Rick, Florida's governor called for a special legislative session. It gets started this week. And kind of help us understand what's the overall legislative and political purpose of this session.
Well, Kent, in this upcoming week, expect a focus on mandates, vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and COVID-19 related legislation. Governor DeSantis has been consistent on this. You may agree with him, you may disagree with him, but he's being consistent. He is anti-mandate. And expect legislation in a number of areas. He's going to frame it as employee protection, and they'll be talking about if there are private sector mandates, that there'll be some opt-outs. He's going to talk about parents and their rights, maybe add a little bit of teeth in legislation that may give them a legal right to sue or even attorney's fees. For municipalities and for public sector employers, expect some legislation that maybe bans vaccine mandates there. And finally, some legislation that may consider, or there'll be a discussion about the state of Florida withdrawing from OSHA and maybe creating a state program. A little problematic, expensive, takes some time, but that's certainly on the agenda for this weekend discussion.
Yeah, I raised my eyebrows over here. That would be stunning to me if that happened.
There are a number of states who have it. There are 22 states that do, but it takes typically years to implement. Wow. It's kind of costly, and in the end, you have to be approved by the federal government, and there's federal oversight. I'm not sure that it'll be effective in dealing with this particular issue, vaccine mandates right now, but it is something that will be discussed in the upcoming session.
So there are critics of Governor DeSantis who say this is all about politics, and there are supporters who back him in doing this. Seems really to contrast President Biden and Governor DeSantis in terms of their approach to the vaccine mandate issue, right?
Kent, there's no question about that. President Biden and Governor DeSantis take two different approaches to this issue. For President Biden, he frames this issue as public health, a public health crisis, and a road path to recovery for the economy. And he has vaccine mandates for federal employees, in which he's on good legal ground. He has vaccine mandates for federal contractors, good legal ground, and a more controversial one for private employers of over 100 people or more, and they have an opt-out if they'll get tested and wear masks. For Governor DeSantis, it's the exact opposite. You may remember earlier this year, he entered an executive order in which he banned local governments from issuing mandates, for example, mandates on masks. In this legislation session ahead this week, you can expect legislation that will ban local government and public employers from those mandates. You can also expect he'll build in some protections for employees. So what you have is President Biden, who frames it as a public safety issue, Governor DeSantis, who frames it as a freedom and protection of jobs issue. The two of them come at this very differently when it comes to vaccine mandates and wearing masks.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about you being able to provide some political analysis, also your depth of experience as an attorney. and somebody who's been in city administration. So you've been the governing part here as well. When you look at that, is there good legal footing here for what the governor's trying to accomplish? Does it make sense to the courts?
Well, you're talking about President Biden with regard to OSHA and the rules, you mean?
Sure.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I believe the president's on solid legal ground with vaccine mandates when it comes to federal employees. And he's on solid legal ground when it comes to federal contractors. When you get to the private sector with 100 employees, some people believe you have a basis because states have this authority. Well, states do have that authority under their police power, but the federal government doesn't really have a police power. That's reserved to the states. Instead, what President Biden has done through executive order is direct OSHA, and this is under a statute from 1970, to make it part of the OSHA regulations for safety in the workplace. This is a novel approach, one that hasn't been tested before. The federal courts have already stopped it for now. So my answer to you is it is actually unclear. This will be litigated. There is a good faith basis for doing it, and there's a good faith basis for challenging this in court, and this will be heavily litigated as to whether or not the federal government, through OSHA, remember Congress didn't pass a new statute doing this. This is the 1970 statute, and they're trying to make it fit that statute under its emergency rules, whether Congress can do it. And really, it's unclear whether the president can do it through OSHA. That's really unclear.
30 seconds or less. Is this, like the critics of Governor DeSantis say, is this about him trying to position himself against the president in the White House?
There's always the overhang of next year, which is the governor's race, and of course, 2024. I think the governor has chosen an issue that plays well for his base here in Florida and nationally, and one in which he is drawing a sharp contrast with President Biden. There's no doubt about that. The two of them certainly disagree when it comes to vaccine mandates and mandates regarding wearing masks.
Huge part of campaigning, not that the governor said he is, but huge part of campaigning is to show the difference between you and whoever you're going to compete with. Rick Mullaney, appreciate it. Always good to talk through these issues, and we'll see by this time next week what really happened in this special legislative session. And next week, we'll be working to update you on any decisions made at the special session in Tallahassee. We're also getting ready to introduce you to candidates in the special election for Jacksonville City Council. We leave you this morning with a look back at the Veterans Day Parade in Jacksonville with a sincere thank you to every member of the military and their families.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.